Visiting Vietnam for the first time could be shocking as all the price is quoted in thousands. A simple purchase of meal or snack could cost tens of thousands and clothes price can reach hundreds of thousands. As in 2023, Vietnamese dong is the second weakest currency in the world after Iranian rial, or third if Lebanese lira black market rate is considered. And how did Vietnamese dong gain so many digits like this one on the banknotes? So many zeros. And is there any plan to cut all the zeros just to simplify the transaction? Let's shop for a souvenir while looking at the fascinating history of Vietnamese dong and understand of why Vietnamese dong has so many zeros on everyday purchases. During the French colonization of Indochina, piastres was used as the currency not only in Vietnam but also in Cambodia and Laos. Even before Vietnam was partitioned into North Vietnam and South Vietnam in the year 1954 after Geneva Accord, communists in the North already issued their own currency. Thus, let's start with the North. After year 1945, there were different types of dong banknotes circulated in communist-controlled North Vietnam as a way of resentment of the usage of colonial currency. North Vietnamese dong replaced the French-issued piastres at par. 1 piastres equal 1 dong. The different designs of early North Vietnamese dong and poor printing quality were caused by the shortage of printing materials in the interwar period. In 1951, the design of the banknotes was standardized with the establishment of National Bank of Vietnam. With the financial and political stability, revaluation of currency in 1951 is possible as 100 old dong is changed to 1 new dong. Due to inflation, North Vietnamese dong was revaluated again in 1959. 1,000 dong in 1951 equals to 1 new dong in 1959. In 1960, the name of the central bank was changed to State Bank of Vietnam, which still functions as the central bank up to this day. Meanwhile, in South Vietnam, the colonial currency of piastres was used until 1955, when National Bank of Vietnam was established in Saigon. The rival central bank in Saigon shared the same name with the central bank in Hanoi, but it is a totally different central banks. Two banks. Due to the variety of printing sources to save the cost, the design of the banknotes of South Vietnamese dong were different from one value to another. By 1969, the design of South Vietnamese banknotes was standardized with the image of Independence Palace in Ho Chi Minh City on the obverse of the front side. And anyway, today is your lucky day because this is 100 South Vietnamese dong issued in 1972. This paper money has a minimal security features with thin strip in the middle and watermark of Nguyen Chi Mai An, wife of Nguyen Van Chieu, President of South Vietnam from 1967 until 1975. When this banknote was issued, the high inflation due to the war caused the value of the South Vietnamese dong plummeted. Therefore, people always want to have on hand the hard currencies such as US dollar. In addition to local dong and foreign currency, especially US dollar, which was always short in supply, there were additional payment methods which makes the payment system more mixed up and confusing. Military payment certificate was used by foreign military personnel who were stationed in South Vietnam until 1973. American, South Korean and Thai armies were issued their own respective MPC in US dollar denomination. And why did American and South Korean and Thai armies in South Vietnam use MPC and not US dollar or local Vietnamese dong? There are 3 main reasons. Number 1, MPC reduced the dependency of US dollar, which could weaken local currency because less people wanted South Vietnamese dong and everyone wants US dollar. Number 2, MPC reduced the availability of US dollar in the local market, avoiding the local economy from facing dollarization. Number 3, MPC could only be spent on businesses within the military camps, which reduced the potential of vice spending, alcohol, drugs, women. However, MPC was widely accepted and treated as a proper currency at par with the US dollar in the open market until There will be one day of camp lockdown that all the present NPCs will exchange for a new NPC series. As a result, NPC nodes outside the camps cannot be exchanged and became worthless. The design of NPC was changed periodically to restrain its usage strictly within the military establishment. And did NPC successfully stabilize the South Vietnamese dong value? Counterfeiting issues, low domestic production due to war, heavy reliance on US financial aid and corrupt government caused South Vietnamese dong value continued to plummet even when NPC was widely used. Eventually, when the approach of communist forces to Saigon was imminent, the value of South Vietnamese dong fell further as people tried to sell everything to afford an escape. When communist forces took over South Vietnam in the year 1975, South Vietnamese dong were replaced by Liberation Cash, Liberation Dong, as an initial step towards reunification. The revaluation of South Vietnamese dong happened when 500 old South Vietnamese dong equals to 1 Liberation Dong. The reunification of Vietnam was formalized in 1976 while the currency was reunified later in 1978 with 1 North Vietnamese dong equals to 0.8 Liberation Dong or 80 Su equals to 1 Vietnamese dong. To maintain the monetary stability, Vietnamese dong was pegged with the Soviet ruble. The currency value was maintained by strict currency control where people who earn in foreign currency and foreign visitors were forced to change the hard currencies such as US dollar or pound sterling to foreign exchange certificate. The similar system was practiced in the Soviet Union where the foreign currencies brought into the Soviet Union were forcibly exchanged with these certificates that could only be spent at Berezovka stores. To ensure people got the basic necessities and maintain the price control, a ration system that widely used in the north was expanded to the south. As a result, the value of Vietnamese dong remained stable through the late 1970s and early 1980s. By 1985, the change of leadership in the Soviet Union brought new changes that shook the Vietnamese economy. Foreign assistance from Soviet Union to Vietnam was ceased due to Soviet economic hardship. Lesser foreign assistance, low domestic output, international sanction and high government borrowing caused the surge in price of the goods. Therefore, Vietnamese dong was revaluated again in 1985 in an attempt to reduce the inflation where 10 old dong equal to 1 new dong. However, the reduction of a single zero did not stop the massive inflation in Vietnam in the 1980s. The inflation rose from 91.6% in 1985 to whopping 453.5% in the year 1986. In 1986, Doi Moi or renovation was formalized to improve the economy direction from central command economy to mixed economy. Private ownership was allowed, foreign direct investment or FDI was pouring in, and Vietnam was open to the global market. Thanks to the economic reform, inflation has reduced from 453.5% in the year 1986 to 36% in the year 1990. New banknotes issued between 1988 and 1991 reflected the high inflation as the highest banknote issued was 100,000 dong. After 1993, the inflation in Vietnam is within a single digit except in 1995, 2008 and 2011. The combination of historically high inflation, preference to US dollar and impact of hyperinflation in the late 1980s make foreign currencies acceptable in a select places in Vietnam. Some shops in highly touristic areas are accepting foreign currencies. In Tan Son Nhat International Airport, price in duty-free shops is quoted only in US dollar, not in Vietnamese dong. Heck, even the shops outside the west gate of the Ben Thanh market quoted the price in Malaysian ringgit and the transactions are mainly by ringgit. On the other side of the coin, weak Vietnamese dong means the product made in Vietnam is cheap to export, making Vietnamese products affordable to buy. With the combination of increasing export value, increase of foreign direct investment and political stability, inflation in Vietnam remained stable throughout the 21st century. Together within 21st century, Vietnamese dong banknotes are getting the new images as well. Between 2003 and 2006, new series of polymer banknotes were introduced in stages, making Vietnam the fourth country in the world to use polymer banknotes after Australia, New Zealand and Romania. Unlike paper banknotes, polymer banknotes were more long-lasting than paper banknotes and harder to forge. As a result, the design of Vietnamese dong polymer banknotes remained the same since its introduction in year 2003. Just a pedantry fact here, the first two numbers in the serial are the year when this banknote was printed. 21 means this money was printed in the year 2021, and in addition, there's supposed to be a new coins to be issued together with this new polymer banknotes in the year 2003, but it is nowhere to be seen anywhere today. The coins hardly reach the everyday usage, as the banknotes are the only existing form of Vietnamese dong since the late 1980s due to inflation. Coins were less convenient than banknotes, bulky, heavy, easy to lose and hard to keep. The highest coin denomination is 5,000 dong, which is only 20 American cents, maybe enough for a candy or parking fee. State Bank of Vietnam slowly withdrew the coins from the circulation by April 2011. As a result, the old paper banknotes of 1,000, 2,000 and 5,000 issued since 1988 remain in use. Removing zeros on the currency might simplify the transaction, but it is not as simple as it sounds. The revaluation of currency, such as what happened in the year 1951, 1959, 1975 and 1985, gave a lesson that a strong and growing economy is more important than how many zeros are there in the money. Furthermore, changing the banknotes costs money too, withdrawing all banknotes, printing new banknotes, public information campaign and adjustment in ATM, cash register and computer. Nevertheless, cash is still the choice of the proletariat class, because cash is not king because there is no king in a socialist country. Do you think you can adapt to spending millions per month on groceries? You can comment down below. Vietnamese dong is available for sale in banks and money changers in Southeast Asian major cities and neighboring China and other countries if you are lucky. If there is no money changer or bank selling Vietnamese dong nearby, you can simply bring major currencies such as US dollar or euro to Vietnam and exchange the dollar with dong. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Vietnamese dong and the reason of why dong has many zeros on the banknotes. Thank you so much for watching again and see you in the next video.